Mr. Rowe, you have 5 minutes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. My first question is for Mr. Chad Ulansky. You mentioned about a lot of the minerals in Canada is away from the population. But what's interesting is I took a look at our critical minerals map, and a lot of the deposits that were found, and I think the key word is found, has been in areas where the population is, except for the Rockies. I'm curious if you can just kind of dive into why might that be and what we can do to fix it.
So the reason that is exploration is very high risk. And because of that, we tend to look for projects close to where there's infrastructure, where it's cheaper. And as a result, there's not many companies that are willing to go out to kind of those blank areas and look for resources. I'm fortunate or unfortunate to have spent a lot of time looking in those blank spaces and finding things that haven't been found before. And that's where a lot of the new discoveries are going to occur, because you're right. You take a look at the map of the mineral occurrences and you can see where all the infrastructure is because that's where people have explored. It's those blank areas in the map or where the new significant tier 1 discoveries are going to be made. And when we make them, we're going to need to have some guarantee that we'll be able to get some infrastructure built to them so that we can bring them to market.
So, and you talk about investment, and you say, the investment in infrastructure, and you said that investment has been more short-term focused now, perhaps more than ever, I think was kind of what you're alluding to. And I worked in the mining industry, and I've seen that. The mining industry, the investors, they seem like they'd rather make $1 today than $2 tomorrow. I'm just curious if you could elaborate on that and what perhaps we should be doing as a country to fix or motivate people to invest in the long term.
That's a really good question, and I don't have a good answer for you as how to, produce that longer-term view on investment. And I think society in general is shorter-term. It's not just investment. Everybody's got a very, how long's a TikTok video? That's literally people's attention span at the moment.
I'd just jump in there, Mr. Rowe, just to talk about this particular region, northwestern British Columbia. It was really the target of when we acquired Newcrest in 2023. Newmont saw this region in northwestern British Columbia as a place we could do business for many generations to come, and we have people in our company looking 100 years down in terms of infrastructure needs and trying to understand how things are going to evolve here. So I think the first thing is that the transmission line and the road did bring those initial discoveries and have led to some of the first operations. So then adding in additional transmission and additional infrastructure, I think we'll do that as well. We've talked too about working with Indigenous, and I think that will be a really important component to solidifying the resource development and essentially how we can do that in combination and advance reconciliation at the same time. The other thing, though, is the geology. And so these ore bodies are ones that do have the copper gold porphyries that are large enough to sustain operations for 50 or more years. So we have a view at the Red Chris operation right now, for example, that you could operate there for another 50 years. And not every single type of deposit, and Chad and people that understand the geology better than I could detail that. But the short-termism, to going in and exploiting smaller deposits over short amounts of time don't set up well. But infrastructure and investments in workforce development and training, and really getting large companies in like ourselves with over 100 years of experience in the industry and bringing the expertise to the area can set up certain regions for significant critical mineral production over many, many years.
Mr. Rowe, Mr. Singh, I think, has a response for you, if that's all right with you. Mr. Singh.
Yeah, maybe just really quickly, Mr. Chair, and I'm not sure it's much of a response, but I'll say it anyways. I think at the end of the day, we have to be good businesses, which we are. There's a lot of great Canadian companies doing good things in Canada. John, Chad, David, myself. We're not. We're reasonably resourceful. We have opportunities, and we've chosen to tackle the things we're tackling because we think they're they're great opportunities that can do good, provide a good for Canada and for our investors. So I think ultimately we're not going to change the world. We're not going to change how people invest. I think we have to have a product that they're compelled to want to invest in. And whilst there are, if I'm being an optimist like Chad was earlier, whilst there are places in the world where you can do this easier and maybe quicker, I much rather have a balanced approach that leads to a successful outcome in Canada. Because once you are permitted in Canada, once you have a mine running in Canada, it's among the best places, if not the best place in the world, to have it. And we've seen how you can go faster in other places. Panama was one example, and that mine got taken away 2 years into production. So I think it's about finding the balance. And right now, I'll admit, things are stacked against us a little bit in the mining sector, and anything that can be done that relieves that pressure and simplifies the process will go a long way. And the rest of it is on us to find those investment dollars, which we're all capable